some of these roles will make me money. Some of these roles will like bring me personal joy. That was so like ominous.
No.
Is that a scary space to be in?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Souly Human Podcast. I'm Jasmine Naomi, your host, and I'm so excited because I have Michelle here with me. Thank you for coming, Michelle. We're going to have a great conversation today, but I just want to tell you guys that Souly Human is a safe space where we kind of connect and grow through and talk about our shared human experiences while also acknowledging that we are also soul, and our soul is what connects us to self, the people around us, and the universe within us and around us. So thank you for coming. To introduce you, Michelle, I would like you to tell me who you are without describing what it is you do for work.
Oh my gosh, that ultimate question that everyone should be asking themselves.
Yeah.
Like, who am I?
Question. Yes. Who am I?
Who am I?
Who are you?
I am an experiencing like thing that's just trying to understand how to be what's perceived good. I just want to know how to be a good person in the roles that I'm drawn to on this planet.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of these roles will make me money. Some of these roles will like bring me personal joy, and I'm trying to like explore more of that because it's, you know, I just want to do more things of what I want to do, not what I feel like I have to do or need to do. Yeah.
I have not heard anything like that. That was beautiful.
That is who I am.
I love that. I love that so
I'm
much.
looking for joy just in everything I do.
Yes,
Yeah, so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I feel like that's a great way to enter in what Michelle and I wanted to talk about today, being vulnerability. Vulnerability.
That was so like ominous.
No.
Is that a scary space to be in?
I just wanted to do that. I've been messing around a little bit with because it's such like a big microphone, and so I'm kind of like, I could do so many things with this microphone. It's just
have to play with all the senses.
Yeah.
Like, I see how you do your videos. You do the zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. That like really, you know, it like emphasizes things. I love that shit.
Yeah.
I love that shit. So you got to do the same with the audio
Exactly,
too. You know?
exactly.
Like,
They're lucky I can't do that with the video. Otherwise,
That
they'd be
looked
all
really
up in
bad.
my face all the time. It would be way too much. But yeah, so vulnerability, but as a fighter, right? So you are also
Yes.
one of the things you do, because Michelle has already been on. She's come on the podcast before, and it was amazing. We talked with her. I talked with her and Twinkie. And so today, as a fighter, like what vulnerability is, what it looks like. So I guess I would want to start with, what does vulnerability mean to you right now in this season?
in this season of life, because life does come in seasons.
Yeah.
Well, happy to be back. Was glad to see that release of the last recording we did, because it helped me tap into my vulnerability again and be like, oh yeah, you know, that was a space I was in. Where I'm at with that now, I'm not really like thinking about it as far as like, because last time in the cast, I was talking about being careful with my feelings and all that, because I was in the midst of all that fight camp pressure. I'm kind of off season right now.
Okay.
I'm still training.
Okay.
But I'm off season. We've got a couple of other fighters that are like actively in fight camp. So I'm kind of in it with them, but not in it.
Okay.
But in it with them. So the pressure is not as much. And right now, I could go deep. And at the same time, I feel a little guarded because I've had space. Like with all that pressure before, like there was only so much I could guard. Like it was so easy for me to just be like, get into any space there. But now I'm like, I'm noticing myself, like just kind of protecting myself a bit
Okay.
and just noticing myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Do I want to change it? I don't know. Maybe I like it like this.
Right.
Yeah. So I think I'm feeling it out and
Okay.
seeing how I feel with it.
Okay. So how does the pressure of being in fight camp versus now being off season and you feeling like you could go deep within self, what's the connection between the two? Or the disconnect, I should say. For those of us that aren't in fight camp, like how that being in that space affects you then and how being in this space affects you now.
That's a good question because I'm thinking like, how does it affect me in the gym? But really, like, how does it affect me at home? And it's like in all those spaces that it affects me, and even at work too. I noticed like I was feeling lighter. You know, not I was like pack up shit, set up shit, pack up shit, set up shit. You know, like I'm not, and I really care a lot about how people perceive me. I really care a lot about the type of energy that I'm exuding in a shared space. Maybe I care too much. So I haven't been as concerned not being in fight camp. And the connection with the two is, I guess, like the concern of being perceived like, you know, a certain way.
Okay.
Because I want to be a good person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Whatever that means. Hey. So then it comes down to, well, one of the things it would come down to is like how you're being perceived as a person then in these spaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's like small stuff, though. That's small stuff.
It's small stuff that I feel
Yeah.
like everyone can relate to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That was my attempt to answer the question.
No, I think that you answered the
Yeah.
question. I think you definitely answered the question.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I can connect, I guess, to those two things is how I relate to people.
Okay.
Giving people more time. I have this thing with time, like giving people my time. Sometimes I don't give enough I feel like I think I don't give enough. Or maybe it's a desire to give more. Like I wish I could give more. So I'm trying to like figure out how to be okay with where I'm at and what I can give.
I feel that a lot, especially with the kids at work. That takes a lot. So then when I go into the week with myself, with the other
Yeah.
people in my life, how I give, when I give, what I give, that has become a very intentional thing. Because before I feel like I would just want to, we talked about it a little bit, I would just openly want to give
Yeah.
love and energy and time
Yeah.
and space. And so that's been an intentional thing. But I figured, I remember what I was pending during.
Download.
Yes, it has downloaded and it has saved. As a fighter, does vulnerability, I feel as a fighter, watching from the outside, I feel like it could be perceived as not a strength, but I feel that vulnerability, period, like on all levels, in all spaces, is a strength. So I'm wondering, as a fighter, what would be the perception of vulnerability? Like, what does vulnerability look like to a fighter?
I see.
If that makes sense.
It really does. And that's such a, that perception and association with it is there, like to be perceived weak or something. And what does vulnerability look like as a fighter? It's easy for me to say that because one, you know, like I hate to put gender to it, but like I'm a female, like I'm a woman, like I'm in touch hormonally monthly, you know? So it's easy for me to say like tears and stuff, but it's also like if I can observe a man and a male fighter, I could see vulnerability in how they are too. Because like if someone's like acting tough as shit, there's something there. I'm seeing something behind all that. So it displays in different ways, and I try to like recognize all of them within myself and own up to it. And I also see how some people don't own up to theirs, and it just comes off in an unhealthy way.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like I've seen it. I've seen shit. I haven't seen shit. You know, I've only been in it for a little bit, but you know.
But in your experience up to this point, yeah, no,
Yeah,
for sure.
I was like, of how much I've seen already. Like, I can't imagine people that have been in the game for like over a decade. You know, there's probably a lot more toxicity out there in how vulnerability is expressed.
And
It's the
so,
expression of it.
yeah. Okay, so then that's what I was gonna ask. So yeah, just that it sounds like in touch with self is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And so when it's not there, then it comes out in other ways. But if it is there, even that awareness would probably make a big difference.
Sorry. Long leg, short people problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we're figuring it out as
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
So that in touch with self.
Yeah, for sure.
When I think of vulnerability, so both of my parents are immigrants. My mom is from Mexico. My dad is from Iran. My dad is a pretty not comfortable with vulnerability at all, right? So I feel like I have a lot of that as well. And so it's taken maybe like 2 to 3 years to see vulnerability even as a strength, to be honest. There is something to be said, I feel like, about being able to be vulnerable with yourself in your time and in your space, and then to be able to be vulnerable with the people that you care about. Does that make sense?
Totally.
With partners, families, friends, I feel like I have gotten a lot better at being vulnerable with myself and kind of owning up to the things I feel and see or learn about myself. But definitely still learning, you know, to be vulnerable, but like actually vulnerable, you know? I feel like if you're in touch with yourself, you can decide on the levels that you hang out in. And so it's easy to give what's comfortable, but to go into a space where it's uncomfortable and be vulnerable with the people you love, with safe people, because I don't think being vulnerable with everyone is necessarily warranted, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, with the people we love. And so
Uh-huh.
I'll let you know when I figure that out.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to like play with that because it's not fun. That feeling afterwards, after being so exposed, after the disclosure of whatever, that's no fun, you know? So, oh man. And people receive things differently.
They do receive things differently.
Receive things differently, which is why I think in this space now, I'm more protective. Because I'm like, you know, I could be more careful because maybe not more protective, but I want to hold that space for people now because I can now. Before, I'm like, I don't want to hear your shit.
Okay.
I don't got time. I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think playing like the two-way street, like really being cognizant of that too. Yeah.
What gets you to the point of being like, I don't want to hear your shit? What gets you to that place?
If I don't get enough sleep. I need, and that is so important. Like,
That is really important.
I don't know how people can get by with like a daily 6. That's not enough.
I can't do it.
Do you get like enough sleep?
My goal is 8 hours.
That's a good goal.
That
goal.
should
Should be like the solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I really try.
Yeah.
I think when I was a little younger, like it mattered less, but now it's like heavily crucial. I just feel all of me feels off if I don't sleep, if I don't rest. So,
you know what's scary is like when people are off and like they're like that's their norm. Like
that is scary. Like, oh yeah, I slept 10 hours.
and the things that like they would be talking about on a daily, it's like, do you see a correlation maybe? But anyway, that's like a recognition of the self there.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so like lack of sleep would get you there.
Sleep. Yeah, lack of sleep. I just need rest. I just need to know that I took the time for myself somewhere, whether it's sleep or just like chilling on my patio or, you know, just brushing my dog, you know, just need something. I just need to know that I had that time for myself.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So then, if different than that, what makes you capable of holding space for others? What gets you in that space to give others space?
During fight camp or not? I feel like it can't happen.
I was about to say,
because like when it's fight camp, it's like that is an announcement to my whole people of like, hey, don't expect me to return your texts right away. Don't expect me to call you right away. Don't expect me to pick up. Don't expect any of this for the next 3 months. See you at my fight.
I'll see you then on the
just
other
kidding.
side.
I try to make time for them actually, but
it's different.
But it's different. It's different. And I remember hearing Jason talk about like, how he did his camps, and he's very community and family oriented. So as I tell my story and speak of my fight camp, it is very unique to me. And I really admire like knowing and hearing Jason, how he's done it. Just like he likes to get his family together. He likes to get people together. And that's what fulfills him. And that's what he does with his fight camps. And for me, like I can't do that. I'm such a like, I don't know if it's an introvert, if you want to call that, but I'm just, my energy responds differently to crowds of people. If there's like a lot of humans, I'm like,
Yeah.
So
no, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I do think it's different. I think it's exactly as you put it, like what, fills the soul for you at that time. And everyone has different ways of doing that. So,
and I think that's important to really highlight is like, everyone's different. We're all, I can't, it's natural to like compare myself because I want to know what's everyone else doing. Like I want to see if I'm up to par or if I'm ahead of the game. So I have to remember that like, it's just all going to be different. Yeah.
And that is when we talked about like, how others people are perceiving us. That's what I continue to try and remember that it's all different for that reason. Cause I'll have that experience too. Like I'm thinking about how these people are perceiving me and other people are perceiving me a certain way based on their own like programming, conditioning, their own experiences, their own relationships. So how you're going to see me is based on you anyway. And so if I remind myself that no matter what I do or don't do, you will have a different perception probably than I would want. That's still yours, it's not mine. And so I try and remind myself because the whole worrying about other people's perceptions continues to be like just there.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
That's true. It's all different. And how we fill our souls is different. How we spend our time, how we speak, how we value different things. It's always all different. Anyway, so it's like, why am I even worried about it?
Yeah. And I love to hear it. I love to hear everyone's different. And this is why I'm happy to like share too. Because I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I figured out on my own.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's not the way. It's not the right way. It works for me, but like, hey, results.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love to hear those stories. I love to hear all the failures and the successes. So I can, just like see where I'm at, and I have to accept that I'm gonna have like my fails. So those are parts of myself that I'm learning to accept. That's the work,
That is the work.
Being okay with like stuff that I don't approve of myself. Yeah.
How do you get okay with those things? Or how do you accept or grow, or how do you move through those things?
During fight camp, a lot of my mental work was accepting where I was.
Okay.
Where I'm at in my performance, of course, where I'm at, like, with the camp and the fighting, and also where I'm at home, because the big piece that I talked about last time was like, just being a more kind person at home. I make myself sound like a bitch, and I am. when I didn't have my shit regulated. Yeah, it's shit. I forgot the question.
The question was,
got lost in my anger.
how you move through the parts of yourself that are still in development.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. It's been a while since I've done things on my own for myself, and I am so blessed in my life to have my partner to kind of be that backboard and that mirror for me to reflect these things to me. And just hearing her feedback and experiencing her experiencing me was enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I should probably rephrase what I meant to say. I should probably take a pause before I react. I should probably respond instead of react, So in this time, during these past times, having a really supportive and patient partner has been helpful. But if it wasn't for her, because she'd been doing her own thing lately. She'd gone to Mexico for a weekend.
Wow.
She'd gone places away, leaving me. I love it. I love the space to myself. So I've been okay. So here's me recognizing myself. Yay, whoop whoop, patting back.
Yes.
I've been doing things for myself, spending more time with my dog. I just really love my dog.
Okay.
I love to take her out, walk her. She doesn't pull. She'll be fucking behind me, but I just love to be out with her and just connect with her. I
was
like
gonna
to
say, in
connect with
connection
an
with her, it
animal.
sounds
Yeah.
like-
And just
sounds like.
try and work on my telepathy with her, So it's just, I'm trying to work on my magic.
Yeah. And it sounds like she is a vessel for that. She's a big part of that.
Yeah.
What's your
Having a
dog's name?
pet helps.
What's her name?
Yuki. Having a pet helps.
Yuki.
I feel like having a pet helps because she gives me a sense of purpose. She's my responsibility. And I think that's what kids are, right? Kids are a sense of purpose. We make money to feed their mouths and clothe them and stuff. So I feel like she's my sense of purpose to work hard and give a good life. And for my partner too. But it's for my dog, really.
Yeah. That is so cool though,
Yeah.
that she has her things and you have your things, and then you have things together, but you also have separate things too.
Let me tell you, that's so important though, for her to have her thing. Because I think I told you last time, she just found yoga and in mountain biking and doing all these things. Through that, she has made friends, made a community. She's got her thing. I have my thing with the gym and my mates there. So I feel like it's been easier to feed back off each other and see each other since we've got our own thing to do. Because I think we were just coming from a weird space before, living with family and stuff. So now that we've got our own space for the past year, we have space to see and hear and notice. And so, and to find whatever feeds our souls. She found yoga. I'm so happy. She's and it's great. It's great.
That's
awesome. Things are great. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. So I'm trying to also, in my off season, find something to keep me focused too. I'm still training. I'm still working out. I'm still going to Blackbeard. But I also noticed that not having a routine that I attached myself to, I felt too floaty.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if this is an okay feeling or space to be in. I feel really floaty.
Okay.
I've been artsy and crafty for the past month because Halloween, making my costume. But I'm just thinking shit, what am I going to do after this?
Right. I was actually going to ask you that. I was like, have you found whatever it is that's going to keep you?
I feel like there's things I could do, but I don't want to do. I guess I could grow my business, but I'm okay with it just being right here. I'm okay with it because I want to do something else.
So then that would be one of those things that you don't want to do just because you could or might have to. It's
Yeah.
not one of those things you want
It's
to
like,
do.
I haven't touched my website in 2 years. I should update that shit, but fuck it. Oh, man, my clients. I love my clients.
What are the things that you want to do? Or they're like maybe hanging out like you potentially want to do?
Things that I want to do, but I'm like afraid to even get started because I'm like, okay, this is going to be a project. Is like, is spend more time at the gym. I
Okay.
want to spend more time at the gym, and
Okay.
and I've been afraid to say yes. I've been afraid to commit
Okay.
because of the commitment of it. So I've been slowly just inserting myself a little bit. So I set my schedule to work out with Jason Monday, Wednesday evenings, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday mornings, right?
Okay.
So Monday evenings, I'm like, okay, just I want to stay after a little bit and like do some clench work with the ladies because
Okay.
we've been having more girls coming in to train.
Nice.
So I the last couple Mondays, like stuck around a little bit, giving my time,
Okay,
right? Giving my
okay.
time. I want to do more of that. And I'm afraid to kind of like slap it official,
Okay.
So I just casually been just like slowly inserting just because I want to do it. I do. I do want to be more involved. I am just scared of like failing, but I don't know what it looks like. So that's why I've been a little hesitant. I haven't been like gun ho.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
been because I don't know what it looks like, and I don't know what my time looks like, and I don't know how to commit to people anymore.
Well, even in talking about that, you like look excited. Like you look excited. You
Because
sound
like
excited.
my arms started talking.
Yeah,
You saw that, right?
Your
I saw
arms,
that.
your face, like so. It's obviously something that's like important to you that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, because it's exciting. There's dude, Monday night. Did you see the story post for Blackbeard? There was hella people. We were
I think I did see
packed.
that. I think I did see that.
That was so exciting.
So cool.
We were like drawing titties on the mirrors. It started fogging up. Like it was really fun to have all those people there, and I was surprised at how much joy that brought me because sometimes like crowds make me anxious, but that was the kind of crowd of like, let's go.
Yeah. Right. Well, because I
Yeah.
feel like in a crowd like that where you're in that space, there's already like a mutual energy there.
Yeah.
A mutual shared love there. And so it's like you're all in this together and that sounds like a good feeling.
Yes, that like brotherhood, sisterhood vibe. Like I love that shit. And
That's
I didn't
awesome.
realize how much I loved it until that night. And I
That's
was
cool.
like, I want more of that.
Yeah.
So to want to give more time and like help foster that, whatever that looks like, I don't know. I just kind of want to do that. It's like,
Right.
that sounds like a cool off-season thing.
That would be a cool
Yeah.
off-season thing. Whatever that looks like you said,
Yeah.
it sounds like it would be fun. And if it's important to you, I feel like the rest kind of comes once you decide for yourself,
For sure. So if you ever want to like, stop by the 7 p.m. class on Monday and stay
I'd be down.
after. Oh, dope.
be
We'd
down.
be getting in each other's pockets.
Right. I would be down, mostly because I would love to try and to learn something from you guys. I feel like that would be dope.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work with Jason, but to come and train with you guys would be very different and would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I heard you beat up my brother-in-law.
Not really. I mean,
He was like, I got my ass beat. And I'm like, that's where you learn the most.
not really. I mean,
But this is his first time.
Yeah.
So, so
really
he's
like
pretty
first
excited.
time like partner contact.
I mean, he's done some like sparring before, but never in like a Muay Thai setting like that. No.
Yeah, we were doing some drills, just like pop, pop, pop.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
You guys
I love
should
to hear
definitely
it.
stop by for sure. Yeah.
I'll have to at some point. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more about that. Like
Yes.
how that evolves and transforms.
Yeah.
What ends up happening.
Yeah. I need I want to maintain this like sense of like calm and peace into fight camp.
Okay.
Because like this is like and I know it's going to continually evolve and grow into its thing, but I don't want to be that fight camp version. I just want to be me, I just want to be me with needs.
Okay.
I want to I've been better at expressing these needs in a way that I hope can be received.
That's good.
And I just want to be who I am, like on or off season. I know we all have seasons,
Yeah.
right? And at the same time, I know we can maintain balance in both in all seasons. Like I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, and his teachings and philosophies of like what martial arts is his to him, like to him it's like an expression of self, and I totally vibe with that. Like, and I feel like through Muay Thai, it's definitely given me outlets to express all these parts of myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm in this stage of curbing and dialing in and out, dialing these things back and forth, because I think that's what my life should be about, is like being able to like see these things and like manipulate it. And, you know, just like this is how I'm bending my reality. So, and that's by regulating my thoughts and emotions.
Like you're aware that these things are happening.
Yeah.
And so now what do I do with these things?
Yeah.
Instead of them doing the moving for you of self.
Yeah.
You use the word balance. I was going to say, it kind of sounds like you're wanting to maintain a balance and maybe like a grounded self the way you are now into fight camp.
Yes. And in fight camp, I think like my balance is like, it's going to have to be controlled. You know, it's going to have to be like time slotted. Like if you've seen my Google Calendar, it's so colorful. But it has to be like that. And I have to put 2 hours aside to like nap or do my meditation. I have to set those things aside. And those things, like I have to develop that practice in my off season now.
Right.
So there's these things that I'm catching myself losing practice of. Like I stopped doing my meditations. I stopped doing that. I stopped doing like my breathing stuff. So I'm trying to like just remember to keep in practice, stay in practice, train. Jason suggested that I always like stay in competition for something. And I'm like, oh yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
That would work for me, because I definitely need to I need that. That's just who I am. Not everyone functions that way, but that's just like my personality type. Like I need to have like I need to follow rules. Which means I got to set my rules, you know, I got to set them. So yeah.
I'm similar. I'm thinking about that and I'm similar. Well, yeah. I feel like with too much time, things are more chaotic for me than if I have things kind of laid out. But then I'm like, Jasmine, life is a fluid river. So you got to move with what comes and how it comes. But then I'm like, I won't do shit. Or I'll do too much of one and not the other. So the whole balance of figuring things out.
Yeah.
My Google Calendar is also a piece of art. It's beautiful. Truly. All the different colors.
You must be, though, because I mean, you're like, I feel like people in the world of academics is just, you've got people to mentor or whatever, and you're being mentored. So you're like sitting in these different levels and different dynamics and spaces, and like, that's just a lot to plan, seems like.
It is. The way you were describing talking about wanting to spend more time at the gym, you know, like on Monday nights and doing stuff. That is how I feel when I think about teaching my students, my social work students. Because even though it's only like 1 or 2 classes a year, it just feels so special and so exciting because you're a small part of their journey, like becoming a social worker. And I think that so much of becoming a social worker is really learning about yourself, because then you are in a healing profession and you are connecting with so many different humans in so many different spaces. And a lot of the time it's because they need help with something, some type of support. And so the more you learn about yourself, the more you're able to, like, I would say, the easier it comes to open yourself up when working with others. And that's not to say like, when you're working with other people, that they should always be able to like dive in and learn about you and spend time with you. But the more comfortable you are with your own vulnerability of like, this is difficult, or this is scary, or this is really sad. But the more you're able to hold space for yourself, it'll come easier with other people. So being a small part of them as they're learning to become social workers is just really exciting. I love it. I love it. It's so cool. I'm like, let's do this. So that is how I feel when I think about that.
Oh, yes.
It's a very similar feeling.
That's cool.
It is.
Super special,
is.
like once or twice a year, It's something to look forward to.
It is,
Yeah.
for sure. And then the rest of the time I'm doing like therapy with the kids, and I'm spending time here and talking with you. And so, yeah, life is very full with beautiful things right now. And I am feeling gratitude.
For sure.
For sure.
I feel like we could explore a lot because I remember you saying you were in a relationship with a fighter.
Yes.
And so you were on the other side. And
yes.
And like, did it get in the way? Like, did the fight get in I'm sorry, is that too personal? Because maybe let me drop personal. Like, I felt like, before we figured shit out, it really like impeded on our conversations and ability to communicate with each other. So that's where my question came from. Like, like sorry.
I think that, no, it's a good question. Because yes. Okay. Let me do this first. Let me separate fight camp and fighting for a second. When a human is comfortable with vulnerability, it will translate into all the spaces of their life. So,
because the human is human first.
Yes.
Before they're a fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's kind of like we have these different roles, like you were talking about. We have these different roles in our life, and we step into these roles because of something. Usually, I hope it's because we love this, or we're learning this, and we're doing this. But we are only a human. And so as a human, I firmly believe that like we require vulnerability for any type of connection or growth. And so if you have an individual that isn't comfortable being vulnerable for all the reasons that I can list, which is pretty normal and pretty common, and it's difficult. Vulnerability is difficult and it's scary and it's uncomfortable. And so we are given people in our lives, the people that are in our lives are there for a reason, either for a short time, for a long time, but they're there for a reason. And if someone comes into our life and like in a partnership, but they're not comfortable with vulnerability with themselves, they will have a lot of difficulty being vulnerable with their partner.
100%. Yeah.
Add in fight camp and the intensity and the pressure and the expectation, and then it's kind of like you're just leveling it up.
Yeah.
So it is. It did make things difficult sometimes, but I would say that. How do I say this? Fight camp or the training, the intense training did impact the relationship. It gave me understanding. It gave me context, but like it was never an excuse. It's like it gives context. So now I understand you're here. So now, but that doesn't mean that these things can be neglected.
Of course. Yeah.
Like the vulnerability. We got to figure it out. We got to figure this out and what this looks like and what that looks like. So I understand why this would be more difficult for you right now. It kind of shines a light on it, basically.
So it was. It wasn't until it happened where you're like, oh, that's because this person's not comfortable. And so that was the understanding and like that big piece to it. It was like coming to realize like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much. And so I think that like vulnerability is kind of a thing, like most things, like a muscle that you exercise or you don't.
Yeah.
You practice it or you don't. And the more you practice something, the more comfortable it becomes.
Yeah.
And so I think that like a person, an individual that's learning something, like effort and
Yeah.
intentionality is so important.
Yeah, totally.
But we also can't like hold people to expectations that are our own.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
this is mine, I can do this right now and maybe you can't. It's not necessarily out of like a lack of desire or intent. It just comes from not having practiced it a lot. Does that make sense?
Or having like a model of it. Or like what that looks like.
Because if you don't see it and if you don't see it a lot and you don't experience it a lot, naturally it's going to feel even more uncomfortable than it already
Yeah.
would. And so,
See, there's a lot of cool things like that can change the game if people were exposed to this kind of information, or if they knew how much control they had in their successes. Because if
Yeah.
you're really trying to win this fight, you're gonna want to know everything that you need to know to be a better performer, to be a better fighter, to be a better meditator, to be like, all of that. Because there's so much. I love science. There's just so much like out there that just needs to be like talked about more in the fight world.
yeah.
Like being vulnerable, I think. Like if only we can break down the neuroscience of that. Or being able to cry. What's the physiological and like neuroscience of that? Like you could be more of a man if you cry, or like it's like some
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
some shit like that. But it would really change like the fight game, like, or the game in general, just to let those parts of ourselves just be tapped into. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think would be what do you think one of the changes would be? And I'll ask to the fight world first. If this was like talked about or normalized and unlocked, what do you think would change in the fight world?
If we talked about all this. Okay, so I'm gonna answer that question
Okay.
because it made me think about like how big this subject is really. And it makes me think about that post that I sent you, and what like even like got us to meet again, like that's it's hard to say, but like the big blanket statement that I want to say is like to recognize the self and to take care of the self. And then from there just
You're good.
and then from there just start working backwards, like what's the next thing that I prioritize, like prioritize myself, but then what's the next thing I prioritize, my family, my partner, and then I start to trickle down from there. Shit, man, like all these things that we can go into. I feel so blessed because I've been exposed to a lot of different things, like therapy and yoga and these types of different like healing modalities and stuff, and so I've got to really live and experience how that like woo-woo stuff really translates and helps in my performance in this like real world, like in this like matrix world here. So things like being in the practice of expressing, like being in the practice of like, I don't know, being in a practice.
Okay.
Any kind of practice.
Any practice, right.
And call it like a whatever religion or whatever, because that's a practice too. Like having some kind of faith is a practice, like being in some kind of practice of doing something for the self.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So to being aware of the self and then taking care of the self and then going down from there, and what that looks like for that person.
Yeah. And when I look at myself, I think of of course my physical body. You can go there's so much information on that, and there is a right way to go about things. And then there's like the emotional body. Like I feel like emotional, mental body be like kind of one and same, two and same, but like those would be different things that I want to take time to give care to also. jacuzzi time, baths, whatever. Yeah.
And I think that they are definitely so connected.
Yeah, all of it.
What I saw something, I read something, this happens a lot. I see a lot of cool shit and then I forget how it was phrased, but something like the body is the mind's subconscious or unconscious, to where like our body is basically translating what our mind is experiencing, whether we want it to or not. Does that make sense?
Say it one more time.
The body is the mind's subconscious. The body is the mind's subconscious. Does that make sense?
Oh, because things are hidden in the subconscious. Oh, truth to that. Truth to that.
Yeah.
Truth to that.
So we got a lot of shit going on here
Yes.
and in here and in all of this,
Yes.
right? What we choose to address or acknowledge is up to us.
Yes.
And whether we want it to or not, it will show up one way or another.
100%.
And so the emotional and the physical self, it's absolutely connected. And so I think that when you talk about awareness of the self and then taking care of the self, I was going to ask you, what do you consider self? Because not everyone, I feel like, understands that or talks that way or hears that. I do, but for those of us that don't, what does self mean to you? What encapsulates self?
I am not my body.
Mm.
And I am not my mind. And so I is the self.
Okay.
And when I zoom out and see my many selves in that way, then that's how I kind of differentiate it. It's a really good question because, like, I forget that we can get lost in the language of things too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because my mind and my imagination and how I experience this world, I've only come to learn this year that not everyone thinks or experiences it the same way.
Yeah.
Like-
no, for sure.
Like our ability to give attention to things is like it's very different. I pay too much fucking attention.
I hear that.
I wish I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I mean when I say recognizing the self, catching the conversations that go on in my mind, catching what I'm saying to myself, who's saying it in my mind, like where it comes from, and that's practice in itself, like being able to just like slow down or take a pause and just to listen. The body speaks nothing but truth, so I listen to my body a lot. I don't listen so much to the pains of it as I do to where like things feel strong. So I try to explore all of that. It's so easy for us to focus on pain.
Yeah, it is.
And when we do, it like spreads so fast. So I try to feel like I'll actively, engage or contract my glute or something just so I can be like, I am strong. I try to, if there's brainwashing going on in this world, I'm trying to reverse that and brainwash myself like the way that I want to. Yeah. So.
And I feel like it's always going on.
Yeah.
There's always brainwashing going on.
Yeah.
You said all of that beautifully.
Thanks, man. If I could recommend therapy, it really helps. Find the right therapist. There's all different kinds of therapies. I'm doing a comprehensive resource model.
Okay.
It's like a derivative of CRM.
Okay.
Or what is it? No.
CBT?
No, it's a derivative of EDMR.
EMDR.
EMDR.
There you go.
The trauma processing.
Yes, the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes.
EMDR.
EMDR. So it's very similar
Okay.
with like having eye positions, a little bit of like what seems like inner child work and stuff and tracing things in the body. It's sort of hypnotic. And it's I've been incorporating that in my last few fight camps, and it's been like a lot. It's like, that's another piece of work. What the fuck? Like, that's another piece of work. But I feel so much lighter today, and like, I just feel lighter, and I'm looking forward to next year more. Seeing what like my fight camps will be like. Being less of a bitch. Yeah.
That's awesome. You can absolutely recommend therapy as someone that receives therapy as well.
Yeah.
I totally recommend it.
Yeah.
And the reason I was like, there is a CBT, there is a CRM also, and there is the EMDR. So I'm like, they all exist.
There's so many different kinds.
There's so many different types of therapy. And there's even types of therapy that focus more on like the somatic, like the body experience for those of us that are like, talk about my feelings. You know, there are other ways to, in therapy, like
my CRM is very much like somatic in that sense. So it's like, I'm not even going into details of like traumas, because my, you know, like I don't have to go into details, but it's like, it's interesting. It's really hard to explain. Like,
that is cool.
I'm in my body, and then I see my little child self, and then things in my body, I don't know, things in my body happen.
Yeah. And that's what it's supposed to do. I have never heard of that one, but I've heard of the EMDR, and it's for that reason. They talk about how you don't need to go into details about whatever experiences. And so that's really helpful, right? Because no one wants to verbally like relive certain things. So absolutely. Therapy is just another amazing tool, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that when you were describing the self and you were talking about all of this, and we're talking about these different mind, body, soul connections, I think that people would describe this, like this conversation, they would put different words to it. And I think like the importance of understanding that is that like the language that we use heavily depends on where we come from, the experiences we have. But I would argue that like this entire conversation is built on the foundation of taking care of yourself on multiple levels, not just your physical self, your emotional self, your mental self, 100%. Your spiritual self. And the reason I say that is because even mental health in some spaces is not normalized.
Yeah.
And so mental health, guys, is basically just paying attention to what you're thinking and feeling is affecting your life, right? People, even that, it's still growing, and it's come so much in the past few years. But like mental health is acknowledging that what we're thinking, what we're feeling impacts what we do. And we are either feeling good today or we're not, or we're experiencing different things, and how it's all interconnected.
Yes.
So if I were to use a different term, I would say wellness. Wellness of the self, how your mind feels, how you're talking to yourself, what you're feeling, like the emotions you're experiencing when you're going about your day or encountering different things. Another term could be just your own spirituality, like how that looks in your life. So I say that to say like we're all interconnected.
Right.
Within ourselves, but also like around us. And I think that's important.
Yeah. And somebody can relate to this.
Right,
This is, I think this is really relatable.
I would agree.
Yeah. Whether we call it mental health or not.
I think I really like the way you describe self. I think that was awesome. That was beautiful. Truly. I'm gonna play that back like 15 times.
That's great. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
this is
good shit. Yeah,
of course.
Don't know how we did, but it's like I had this idea of things I want to go into, but it's like, no, just let go of that idea and just let it flow.
Right.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, we kind of already talked about it, but what is it that fills your soul? What is it that fuels your soul?
Are we still keeping fighting in mind?
As a fighter, what is it that fuels your
my
soul?
soul as a fighter? Wow. See, really embracing this identity. You know what fuels my soul is my community. Like just knowing that I can give back, that I have something to offer. You know, I used to think that I had nothing to offer except maybe like be good at training, work hard, stay disciplined, make my coaches proud. You know, that's the best I can give. But I'm like, maybe I could give a little bit more. And I think exploring that would just, you know, fill my cup a little bit more.
Okay. As a human in this matrix, what is it that fills your soul?
As a human in this matrix, what would fulfill my soul is money. Because that's the only thing that matters in this human world. No, but as a human, I'm like, what are human things? Like, that is my judgment and perception of humans.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm in my character of Princess Mononoke right now. You know, just you know, I have a role and a responsibility to my home planet. I always try to keep my planet in mind.
Okay.
So I'm definitely that person that doesn't litter and will judge people if they.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I used to like pick up their trash and go after them. But that was like in my 20s. Definitely not a good idea to do that these days. But like that's how in your face I used to be.
I love that.
I wish I found fighting sooner. I would cause so much trouble.
Over the weekend, my kids at the group home, they'll be throwing their trash all over the place. And I'm like,
kids these days, man.
Pick it up. I will stand there and wait. And they will eventually pick it up. But I'm like,
how does that work? Just standing there and waiting, like that actually works.
You know what? Sometimes it does. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't. And then I'm standing alone with a piece of trash on the floor and they are and then I'm concerned because I'm like, this is a safety risk. I'm supposed to be with you at all times. I'm responsible for you right now. And then I'm like, I don't want to. This is a life lesson you need to learn right now. So what I'll do is I'll go after them. When we come back, pick up your trash.
Oh, did you forget something?
That usually works. Yeah, that usually works.
That's a good one.
Because they're like, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Michelle. Guys, Souly Human episodes release every Friday at Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. As you go into your day, your weekend, your week, please practice empathy with yourself the way you would someone that you care about, because it's easy to give love and patience and empathy to others. And for some reason, it's harder to give ourselves that same love. So love yourself today. And I'm excited to see you next time.
Yeah, this right here will be your greatest teacher of empathy.
Really though. Also, thank you to Daily Brew for our tea and coffee. I mean, matcha. They're amazing. These cups were done by an amazing artist here in Riverside. She's always tagged down below. So
love it. It's so beautiful. The animation art is beautiful too. Thank you.
She's amazing. Thank you.